Hi, I'm Andy McKay. I'm the broker of McKay Associates Real Estate, based out of South Jordan, Utah. When I meet people who want to sell their home, their common question is always, what's the most I can get out of my home? And a lot of times people go select an agent with that being their primary question in mind. And what I thought I would do is make a video about 9 questions that you just have to ask your realtor so you can make sure that you do get the most possible out of your house. So I hope this is helpful to you. These are 9 interview questions when you're calling that listing agent and having them over to your home. Number 1, you want a question that's going to find out how active they are in the market. So you want to ask them, how many homes have you sold in the last year? The reason you want to ask that is because if you've got someone who's only selling 5 or 10 homes in a year, that's not even 1 a month. You need someone who's out there doing real estate every day so they can tell you about trends and what's happening, and they know the areas and know the market. I think anything less than 20 homes sold in the last year, you'd want to maybe raise an eyebrow and be a little bit concerned as you move through the questions. Our statistic is each year we sell between 50 and 65 homes per year, so we're pretty active in the market. Number 2, what percentage of your listings sell? There's something called the listing to sold ratio, and what you want to do, and you can ask them before they come by to get you this statistic, but you want to say, hey, when I list with you, what percentage chance do I have of my home selling? And so, for example, last year we listed 29 homes and 25 of those homes sold. So that gives us an 86% success rate. I think anything below a 70% success rate, you're going to want to feel a little bit nervous about the advice that they're giving you on pricing. For example, sometimes when you're interviewing 3 or 4 agents, you'll have that one dynamic agent that says, oh, I love your house and it's better than everything else, and we can get 30 grand more for this than what these other guys are saying. Well, if you ask that agent, say, well, what percentage of your homes sold? Can you show your statistics to me? And they say, oh, I sell 40% of the homes that I list, then that explains a little bit of maybe they don't have as good of a pricing handle on the market. Maybe sometimes they stick their listings up there just to get the people interested, and it doesn't work out. So question number 3, how quickly will you sell my home? What you want is a statistic of what is their average days on market for their listings. And now every now and then an agent's going to have short sale listings, and it's okay if you have them exclude that from their average. But you want them to say, I sold 20 homes last year, and on average it took X number of days on market. I think our days on market is 32 before we have an accepted offer. And then from that point it takes about another 30 days to get the home closed. So I think the market average is somewhere around 90 or 86 days on market right now. If your agent is anything longer than that, 86 days on market, then they're below average and you want to be concerned. If they're somewhere in that 30 to 60 range, then you're talking with a really talented agent who knows how to market things well and get the offers coming in early. Now the reason you want that is when somebody makes an offer on a home that's been passed over by every buyer for 90, 120, even 200 days, they're going to walk through that home and they might love it, but they're going to say, I like this home, but everybody has said no to it for 200 days. You know, I'm definitely not going to give these guys a good offer. So you get your very highest offers in that first 30 days and then pretty great offers in that first 60 days. So you want an agent that knows that and that knows how to target your marketing towards that window. Question number 4, how long is your listing contract? A lot of agents do a 6-month or sometimes a 3-month, you're stuck with me kind of a listing contract. And that's the standard in the industry. That's okay. Some agents that are a little bit more confident in their ability to, hey, you can hire me, you can also fire me kind of a relationship, they're going to give you a listing agreement where you're in charge. Like, for example, my listing agreement says that the seller can cancel this agreement at any time for any reason with 7 days notice. And so far in 10 years I haven't been fired, but by giving my clients that authority to fire me if I'm not measuring up to what I say I'm going to do, it gives them a lot of confidence. And sometimes when I go to help someone who's had a failed listing experience, they lament that they had to sign that 6-month contract and then 2 months into it and they realize this guy never answers his phone and the marketing isn't what they said it was going to be, they just wish that they could get out of it, and they have a hard time being stuck. And in fairness to the agent's going to say, I've spent money on your home, I need to get an investment, an opportunity to make my commission as I go along, but I think a good agent will give you some flexibility there, and in an ideal scenario, you'll hold the cards. Question number 5, how do you price my home? What are you going to do to figure out the right pricing strategy? And then just let the agent talk. You're going to want to make sure that they talk about at least 3 things. Number 1, you want to make sure that they have a good handle on what are the features of your home, what's all the data, and how does that compare with our recent sales. You also want to make sure that agent is going to look at it and say, what are the current under contract homes in the area, to show the very, very most current data. Right now, at the time of this recording, our market has been dropping for 4 years, and it's finally starting to turn back around. And so if you look at the under contract data, it shows stronger pricing than the recent sold data. And then in addition to that, you're going to want that agent to look at the active competition. After they say, well, this is where I think the price is, you want them to be able to go back and say, well, if I'm looking for a home that's 320, 4,000 square foot Rambler, at a 320 price, am I going to find anything on the market? And as the agent goes and looks and does the active competition search, they're going to find, wow, we're the only home on the market in this area at 320. Let's ask 330 for the first 3 weeks and test that to see if we can push it a little higher. So an agent who really understands how to analyze a pricing strategy is going to come back to you and say, hey, I've done these levels of analysis. This is why we should price it in this way, and let's reach a little higher for this few week period of time and then come right to where the sweet spot is. And it'll sell. Number 6, references. You want to find out what kind of a person this is. Do they just interview well, or are they really true to what they're telling you? By checking references, you'll be able to find out things that go a little deeper than that first interview. Are they honest? Are they a good communicator? Do they keep their commitments? And so check references. Question number 7, ask them, how much am I going to have to pay for a home stager to come and consult with me, 1 or 2 or 3 times to get my home staged, a professional photographer to shoot an online virtual tour, and color flyers, internet marketing? Just say, do I have to pay extra for any of those things? What would I have to pay? Now, a really good agent is going to tell you, hey, you don't have to pay anything for those. It's a competitive market we're in, and I do that for all of my listings just because we have to do it to sell your home for top dollar. So a lot of agents are going to say, well, I'm not too familiar with home staging, or I don't know that, and we have another video you can look at to learn more about what home staging is. But basically, you want to make sure that your agent has relationships with the top home stagers in the valley, or in your area, in your market, the top photographers in your area who have the right cameras, the right lighting, the right lenses, and that at the end of the day, when your home is stacked up next to 100 other homes in that same price range, it will always stand out if you have the right staging, the right photographer. Almost no matter how bad your floor plan is or what quirks your home has, it will stand out if you have if your realtor is connected with the right professionals there. So you really want to get a feel for what their marketing talent is with that question. Number 8, this is an interesting question that I didn't think was very important when I first started the business, and I've learned more over time. But you want to ask that realtor, is it just you, or is there anyone else? What happens when you go on vacation for a week? What happens if you're in a seminar for a morning? Where do the calls go? That becomes important. Availability is really important, because you as a seller are going to be just busting your tail, getting your home ready to show every single day. You're making your bed, you're putting away your cereal bowl in the dishwasher, you're getting everything just perfect every single day, and you don't want to have a scenario where a buyer calls up, or a buyer's agent calls up and says, hey, I need to show this home, but I've only got 2.5 hours notice. Could we get in there? And there's only one person to call, and that person's unavailable, and you've just missed an important showing. You're working so hard for every showing. You want to make sure you have a little bit of depth to that team, if that's an option. And so I think there is some value in a team where everyone knows their role and everyone can help when somebody's unavailable for a few hours or for a weekend. Number 9, what do you do to follow up with people when they show our home? Sometimes people will say, oh, I listed my home and I had all these showings, but I never really knew what people thought about it. That is unacceptable. You need to make sure that your realtor says, here's my follow-up plan with every single showing. For example, on ours, within a few minutes of showing the home, everyone gets an automated email, whether it's the showing agent or the buyer directly saying, here's a picture of the home, here's a link to the virtual tour, thank you so much for showing it, and here are 5 questions about the house. We really appreciate your feedback. It helps us sell this great home. And what did you think of how we fit into the market compared to the other homes you're looking at? How's the condition of the home? Sometimes we'll have a home that we're showing, then all of a sudden someone will leave a comment saying, boy, that basement smells musty. And then our seller can just jump right on that and say, oh yeah, we need to just open up this little area or clean the carpets or do whatever. And so it allows us to have our ear to the ground and react to market data. The very best feedback that you can get on the value proposition that your home has comes from the people that are out there searching for homes like yours today. And so you want to make sure your agent captures that feedback for you and then relays it to you immediately. And on that note, you want to make sure that your realtor has a plan for contacting you constantly through the process so that you never go 1 week or 2 weeks and say, what's happening? Where is this realtor? You need to be having showings happening and communication going back and forth between your listing specialist and your realtor. So that's it. Those are 9 questions that you will want to ask your listing agent when you're doing an interview. And really, I feel like if you were to ask those 9 questions and get acceptable answers, you're going to have a really hard time not hiring the best agent who's going to get you the best dollar out of your home. And also give you an experience where you have a professional that's really handling some of the details and anticipating the turbulence that'll come up along the way. If you're in the Wasatch Front and you would like to have me interview for the job, I would love a chance to see if I can help you sell your home. Thanks for listening to our little video here. Have a great day.